Hello, welcome. This is Tea with the Druid 164, February the 8th, 2021. And it's lovely to be here. This is brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. And it's lovely to see everybody piling into the forest clearing. All sorts of people. Heliet, Gunther, John, David, Erin, Alwina, Keith, lots and lots of people. Agatha Velvet, what an amazing name. Luna Fireoak, etc. Lovely to see you. Great to see you. So make yourself comfortable, and let's begin. Today it's been raining snowing in Sussex, and just a little bit, and yesterday it was snowing some more, but it was beautifully crunchy underfoot. And Stephanie and I walked up onto the downs, and as I was looking across at these gentle rolling slopes of the downs, I was reminded of this story of Mrs. Anne Downs, who in the 1850s lived in the Priory just across the way from Windover Hill in Sussex, where the Long Man of Wilmington, this giant hill figure, the second largest representation of a human form in the world. The biggest is the giant of Atacama in Chile. This huge figure, taller than the figure on the Statue of Liberty. She would look out and see this green hillside, and she would only see this God figure when the snow had fallen, and then it started to melt. And as the snow started to melt, the outline of the god would be formed, standing there holding these two staves. This is such a powerful figure. We call it the Long Man of Wilmington, but who's to say it isn't a long woman? So I like to call it the Long Person of Wilmington. And it was thanks to the way the snow melted differentially that suddenly out of this landscape, this figure appeared, probably just for a few hours, and then the sunlight would make the god disappear again into the hillside. And so from Rodney Castleton's book about it, I have a little quote for you where he says, "Day after day, Anne Downs used to look across to the secretive coombe where the giant lay hidden under his blankets of soil and grass, watching as he appeared and disappeared in the changing light. She felt that the giant was a secret being who was to be seen only at certain times." So she was against the restoration of the figure. And this idea of this figure appearing is so powerful because not only is it androgynous, it could be male or female, so it stands just for humanity in general. We see it echoed in different ways around the world. I have here this beautiful figure from the Jain tradition, and this is an image of a human being that you'll see is see-through. The idea is this is a figure who has gained realization, who's gained enlightenment or moksha, liberation. And so in the Jain tradition, it's believed that the entity, the being, continues to exist, but they are free of all karma, and so they're depicted in this way. And so in this image of the Long Man in Wilmington, we see ourselves reflected and the gods reflected. And one of my interests is where the worlds of psychology and of spirituality meet, and where they overlap, and the connections between the two. And in this book I wrote a while back about the Long Man of Wilmington and a journey through the local landscape here, I wrote a little bit about this, starting off by talking about how psychoanalysis represents this, works with this, and how transpersonal psychology offers a different perspective. One evening as I fell asleep, I was given a way of traveling into the other world by the long man himself, which would allow me to meet the goddess again. But I've remembered, I'm going to read this after we've had our experience together, because I don't want to preempt anything for you. What I thought we'd do is we'd have a different kind of meditation today. We'd have a different meditation. Let me just quickly buzz through the comments, just in case people are all shouting, hey, we can't hear you, but no, everything looks all right. That's good. So yes, what I wanted to do today is a break from tradition, and let's have a different kind of meditation. I've found a lovely piece of film. It's just 3 minutes long, of the Long Man of Wilmington. If you don't know this figure, this will introduce this figure to you. He or she stands on the hillside over in that direction there, and Gav says he's reading the book at the moment and loving it. That's great. And so let's travel there in our imaginations. But just with this meditation, just begin. It's just 3 minutes. Begin by just relaxing, watching the film. And then when you finish the film, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just to imagine. You've seen lots of images of this figure. Imagine that you turn around and you become this figure. And I'll invite you to move your arms, your physical arms, and just to imagine you're holding two staves, two staffs, one to either side of you. And just feel how that feels. Just open yourself to the feelings that this brings, and then we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. So now just relax. And one of the interesting things you'll see is the way the Long Man of Wilmington, because he is carved against the hillside like this, when the drone flies directly over it, it's much longer than the images you see when the photograph is taken from directly in front of the hillside. So just sit back, relax, and watch this. So now, if you feel like it, just close your eyes. And just sensing that hillside and that figure, if it feels okay for you to become the figure for a moment, imagine that you're standing looking out on the green countryside. And then just as you breathe in and you breathe out, just empty your lungs of air. And then as you stretch your arms out, breathe in and stretch your arms out until they're wide, and then breathe out fully and deeply, keeping your arms out and imagining you're holding a staff with each hand. Become aware of the palm of your right hand and feel this staff in your right hand touching the ground. And then move your awareness over to the palm of your left hand and sense the staff, the wooden staff in your left hand, reaching down to touch the ground. And then feeling strong, stable, gradually allow yourself to let go of the image of the staves, moving your hands gently back as the palms of your hands come towards your heart, towards the chest. And you lay your palms on your chest. And you feel the love emanating from your heart to the landscape, to the world around you, to all beings around you. May the land be blessed. May all life be blessed. And then slowly open your eyes. Now, Richard and Pat are saying, they can never see Pat is saying, I can never see the figures holding staves. It looks like somebody's standing in a doorway. And Richard says a similar thing. Incidentally, I'll give the credits for the video that I found on YouTube in the comments, just so you know. Yes, this is the lovely thing about this image, is that it's so simple, just an outline, 2 lines either side. Is it a doorway? Are they 2 staves? But there's something for me about when I do that gesture, and of course it's lovely to do it standing up. You can stand up sometimes and do that, and feeling it's incredibly balancing. You can spend quite a deal of time tuning into that posture, that position. And we know how posture affects consciousness. Such a particular feeling to be like a giant, a guardian. Yes, there's a way in which you can understand this figure as a guardian to an inner landscape. One way to understand it is that it's a figure guarding the goddess in the land. And somebody else says, where is it? Standing guard. What is in the hill behind him, I wonder, says Karen. Exactly. I'll give you, now here's the bit that I wanted to read to you, which is, something you can try as you drift off into sleep. So in this book, The Druid Way, I talk about this journey through the local landscape here as a way of talking about ideas in Druidry and in psychology and philosophy and so on, and in life in general. And so it's kind of autobiographical and a travel journey. And I say, one evening as I fell asleep, I was given a way of traveling into the other world by the long man himself. which would allow me to meet the goddess again. I began my voyage into sleep by thinking of that strange, lonely giant on the hillside, seeing him in my mind's eye and ruminating on how, in many ways, he is an insubstantial figure, a perfect image to evoke unconscious material because of his very lack of substance. One of the tricks of psychoanalysis is for the analyst to make him or herself insubstantial, a blank screen, a long person, which consequently evokes projection of material from the unconscious of the patient. Since it seems that we cannot bear blankness, emptiness, we supply the content if the analyst won't. But whereas conventional psychology treats every experience in consciousness as personal and particular to the individual experiencing it, esoteric, sacred, or transpersonal psychology recognizes the existence of other realms or inner realms which are independent of the individual experiencing them. And what happened as I drifted between waking and sleeping was that the long man told me that he could be a blank screen for my own unconscious material, or he could be a gatekeeper and a way shower to inner realms which are independent and separate from my own personal inner realm. I asked if I could be shown this second, more interesting way of working, and he told me, all you have to do is look at both my staves. I tried this, and to begin with, I found it impossible. I could only focus on one stave at a time. But soon I discovered there was a way. I had to focus my inner eye directly in between the two staves. Only then could I see both staves together. And to do all this, I had to relax my gaze. I couldn't do it with a stare. I had to make my vision receptive. I had to let go in some way. As I did this, I found myself gazing into an inner world that glowed darkly ahead of me. And in this velvet darkness, I saw the figure of the goddess. So now I'm looking at all your wonderful quotes here. You can fly, it reminds me, you can fly, if you have Google Earth, you can fly over the long man. Quite an interesting thing to do is to fly over the long man on Google Earth and then fly over to Dorset and fly over the Cerne Abbas giant. You can visit these two sites. Barbara is saying, I notice his slightly sideways stance, as if inviting the observer in. Well, that's an interesting point, because actually it seems as if when they restored the figure, they made a mistake. Aerial photography now shows us that actually the figure was standing in a much more balanced position, not with one foot to the side as if he's doing a slalom down the slopes. So we're not quite sure why they chose to restore it in that way. It seems it was an error when they restored it. Alex, I feel as if I want to be certain I'm going to enter that cure place. I guess you mean healing place, or if I was afraid to enter. Finally, I entered with the feeling of true cure, healing perhaps is what you mean. Yes, that's interesting. And then the tarot, two of staves. Yes, that's why in the Druidcraft tarot we use the two of staves. So these are just ideas, really, that, where's Andrew's quote? So I can take him off. Here we go. So these are just musings, really, on this figure. And I think one of the things that the lockdown is bringing for us, this whole pandemic business, is allowing us to take time to notice things. Because the world is such a rich and full place, and because now we have media and the internet and television, we're so used to having masses of sensory data coming at us, masses of food for our minds and hearts and imaginations, that we can miss the small things. And one of the things the lockdown brings, of course, is our attention to detail, walking in the crunchy snow, looking at the detail of the leaves and the grasses around us, looking at figures like this, that in a way you can imagine could quite easily, for some people, not hold much. It's just an outline of a person. So what's the big deal? There's no detail there. It's just an outline. But it's by allowing oneself time with perceptions and with figures that we're able to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So, gosh, there's so many comments. That's fantastic. Look, I really look forward to watching this, and I hope the film works. This is a new feature that the software that we use called StreamYard has, of being able to sort of play videos in-house. So do tell me if you had any problem either with the sound or with the vision on that video. But if the vision and sound was as good as the vision and sound you're getting with this part of the broadcast, then that's lovely, because it means that we can have images in those as well. So have a wonderful week ahead. Many, many blessings. And I very much look forward to seeing you next week and to reading all the comments when I've gone and brought up a cup of tea. Okay, much love, many blessings. Bye.